Rebels and rule breakers and non-rebels and rule breakers members who are watching us live now, whether it be on my personal profile within Rebels and Rule Breakers or on LinkedIn, every single one of you are indeed welcome to Rebel World. So tonight we have my lovely friend and one of our master rebels. Hey Cheryl, Mrs. in fact, TRACEY O'Rourke. Let's bring her into the studio right now. There she is.
Hi.
Whoop whoop. So, TRACEY, you are the third in our series of Master Rebel interviews, and every single one of them has been unique so far, as are you all as Master Rebels. Lisa's telling you that you're looking hot, and I agree. That beautiful, beautiful hair. And we're going to chat some stuff, aren't we? We're going to chat about some stuff that's important and have a laugh and shoot the breeze, but we're going to do it in front of the world.
Let's do it.
Why not? Let's do it. So, TRACEY, without further ado, tell us a little bit about you. Give us a bit of a sort of background on who TRACEY is and, you know, a little sort of synopsis of the years you've had on the planet so far.
I was thinking about this earlier. It's really funny because you don't really think about who you are and where you come from, but it's kind of like a corporate meeting, isn't it? Hi, I'm TRACEY. I will be 42 in 2 weeks. I am married to Robert, who, if he's not watching, is in trouble later.
Better have me, Rob.
It's our 7th wedding anniversary tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
Thank you. We have one child, Jacob, who is 9. I am a project manager at O2, where you and I met many moons ago.
We did.
I have one pooch, which is a husky boy, Floki, and my cat, who is wandering. So I am an only child. I grew up pretty much up north where I live. So I live just outside of Manchester, for those that don't know where I am. But yeah, my dad was in the army, so we did move around a little bit, but basically settled where my parents are both from. Went to school, went to college, hated education, wasn't for me, was always told that I would never really amount to much, which I think schools in our days did, but I proved them all wrong. My intelligence has kind of improved as I've got older, and I think it's because I research things that I'm interested in. It's not forced learning, so it's different. I am divorced once. This is my longest marriage, so I've already told Rob we're winning at this one. Yes. So far, let's see, I might meet a millionaire.
Personal best.
So that's a bit of a growing up, but I think what's led me here is I always was the loudest person in the room, and it's only as I've got older I've realised that a lot of that was a front. I was insecure. I didn't like who I was. I had a bit of a rocky first marriage, and it's had a long-lasting impact on me. But I kind of became a mum and suffered with some mental illness. And I think over the last couple of years, I want to grab who I am and just live without having to feel that I need to be different. It was funny because there was a point in life where I had this work TRACEY and a family TRACEY and when I was with my mates TRACEY, and I felt that I needed to be different depending on who I was with. Whereas now I am who I am. I'm the same with my parents as I am, with my son, with my husband, with you guys at work, because I am who I am. You either take me or leave me. And that kind of, I think we stumbled upon each other at the perfect time. Yeah. And being part of the Rebel group has just really sort of bolstered that I am who I am. And that's the rebel in me. and I know that later on you're going to ask me what rebellion is to me, but something that's always stood out to me, and I said it a couple of times, is rebellion for me is it's realizing that I don't want to stand out from the crowd. I was never part of the crowd to begin with, and I think that I've fully just come to accept that, and it's just enlightening, you know, to realize that about yourself, and it gives you so much more confidence when it comes to life, really.
It's
So,
actually a massive relief, I think, isn't it, when you realize you don't want to strive to be cool anymore. It's like, for me, it was like over the years realizing, you know, I'm getting older, therefore I'm probably not so cool anyway. But also that that's not a desire that I have anymore. It's, you know, working so hard at school to be even seen was like, that was a lot of effort for me. And just now being able to be who I am and have people around me that appreciate that, it's just it is a massively liberating thing, isn't it?
yeah, it's like, it's when you struggle thinking, oh, what can I do to be accepted? Do I have to dress a certain way? And I was never really, it was like at school, I was never part of the in crowd, and I never really had that, you know, I was never part of a clique. I've never been one that's fitted into a clique. I've kind of bounced between groups, and, you know, I've got friends who are heavy metal fans. I've got friends who are, you know, like adore makeup and skincare, which I do love. I've got, you know, I'm part of a reading group on TikTok now, and I've got to the point where I really don't care. Am I allowed to swear on here? Just in
you
case.
can fucking swear.
Right, okay. It's real, because I am a swearer. It's realizing that I don't give a shit about being accepted. And if you don't accept me, realizing that, well, do you know what? Maybe that's your loss. Because I think I'm a pretty awesome person, and I'm not going to bend just because it makes somebody else feel uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy to learn and grow and listen to other people's opinions, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to back down from my, you know, the way I feel inside about who I am just to appease other people.
Yeah.
And it's been a long road to get there. It's
Well,
liberating. Yeah, you are right. It's so exhausting. It's exhausting.
Yeah, it really is. It's exhausting
yeah.
living life, never mind trying to people please or be something that other people want you to be. There's a lot of support for this sentiment in the comments, Tracy. Apart from the fact that Lisa and H are now getting divorced because H has commented on her age or something. Chief lurker, that is, in the background. So as you said before, you know, we've known each other for a long time, actually. We met each other how many years ago?
So I think I was already with Alan when we met, and I met Alan in 2001.
Yeah.
So it was probably around 2003.
Oh wow! So it's not far off 20 years.
I've just realised.
That's frightening, isn't it?
No, we're not that old.
Wow. No, we're not. I refuse.
We're not.
We've just done some time travel somehow. That's all that's happened.
Yeah.
So we met many years ago. We worked together. We were both very different people, as you often are, 20 years prior to where you are now.
Yeah.
And you know, we've both done a lot of personal evolution, a lot of personal growth, a lot of changes. And we kind of, you know, we always sort of hung around on Facebook, I guess, on each other's Facebook in the background, but we kind of floated back into each other's lives, didn't we? And one of the things that I just was so impressed with, and I remember saying to you at the time when we had a catch up on Zoom, that first time after years, I was just so incredibly impressed with how you've evolved, how you really, you know, sort of done a lot of work on yourself and looked at yourself in the mirror and gone, right, okay, this is who I am. Let me look at this person. And I know that there have been a lot of change catalysts for you in your life. So what would you say would be perhaps some of the biggest moments that have got you to this point of your personal evolution?
It's really interesting because off the back of the session that we had the other day, it's kind of like it was a gradual build up that things would happen over the years. I mean, as we all experience, you know, it was it was never really liking myself, and I had a difficult relationship with food when I was younger, and I was massively underweight and very skinny. It was like an obsession that I couldn't finish food that was on my plate, or I'd skip meals, and that was with me for a long time. And then I was in a difficult marriage with Alan. It was a violent relationship. It was mentally violent as well. I don't hold any ill will towards him. We were both not particularly nice people. And then I kind of sort of floated a little bit, and then I met Rob, my wonderful husband, who started to kind of make me realize that who I was, you know, he loves me for who I am, warts and all, because those warts are what complete me. And if I was any different, I wouldn't be the person that he loves. And we've always said that. And then we had Jacob in 2013. And I think looking back now, I possibly suffered with a little bit of postnatal depression. And it kind of, all the years of build-up of those things that I'd kind of been through, it all kind of hit a crescendo. And I wasn't coping very well as a mum. I had to go back to work after 6 months because of financial restraints. And then and then we started planning a wedding. And it was just kind of everything. And I hit rock bottom, and went to the doctors, was put on medication. And it was at that point I thought, I have to do something because I'm not working the way that I am at the moment. And then it was other things. I wasn't necessarily happy at work and stuff like that. So from that point, I kind of started to build on how I was going to improve myself. And it was really slow moving, but Rob was really good. We've always had that open dialogue. We can talk about everything and anything. We don't really argue in a conventional way. We talk very brutally about really quite heavy subjects, and it's fantastic. And then in 2017, I took the decision to leave O2 and went to work for Talk, where I met a wonderful lady called Naomi, who is probably one of my closest friends now. And she had a profound impact on the journey to today. She is a mum of 4. We are the same age. Her eldest is just finished university and is heading off to Australia for a bit. Then she's got a son who's just starting uni, and then 2 who are in school. And she kind of was like, you can have it all. Why do people have to put restraints on you because you're a woman and you're a mum? No. She understood that I was supporting my husband, who's got not the easiest job. He works away as a lorry driver. And she was just kind of like, be who you are. Don't put a front on. She was the same person all the time. And I was kind of like, why am I being a different person? So from that moment on, her influence has been phenomenal. And I just kind of built from there, and the change that I've seen in myself, even sometimes I don't really realize how far I've come. And like today, I'm just like, stresses at work, yeah, whatever. It's not my problem. I'll do what I need to, but I'm not taking that stress as long as I've done my bit. Whereas once upon a time, I would have been like, oh my God, nervous breakdown, things aren't working. And it's seeing that bigger picture. And I want to be a good influence on my son. I want him to be authentically himself. I don't want him to feel that he has to be what society deems is acceptable. He's Jacob. If people don't like Jacob, well, tough. There's people out there who love Jacob, don't change. And I want to be that influence. I want to encourage him to grow up being authentic. And Rob is so authentically himself. He doesn't care what people think about him. He's covered in tattoos. He's got massive ear stretches, his tongue pierced, his nipples pierced. He's got long hair. He's got a massive beard, and he's absolutely gorgeous. And I love him for it. And that's had an influence as well. So I suppose that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of the journey that I've been on.
That's quite a roller coaster, isn't it? And there's a lot of dark and light in that, a lot of light and shade. We definitely, need to kind of highlight Rob here, because I'm a big fan of Rob's from what you've told me about him. And I know he massively supports you doing the whole rebel thing as well, and has been from the beginning. But I look at your relationship and what I am aware of with your relationship. And obviously, nobody knows everything about what happens behind closed doors. But you guys, to me, seem like relationship goals, like full-on couple goals.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Each other, and you work through your challenges. You both seem so committed to working hard at making your relationship as good as it can possibly be.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. No relationship is perfect, and we're far from perfect. But I think there's a couple of things. I think I learned a lot off my first marriage, where I saw the faults that were there in myself as well as us as a couple. But as well, Rob's job can also be a contributing factor. But I've always made it clear, I want him, I don't need him. And the fact that I want him means that it is an evolving process. I'll never need him. I'm quite an independent person, but I don't want to need somebody. And he does it, he wants to be wanted. We all want to be wanted. So the fact that he works away.
Codependency.
Yeah. The fact that he works away means that we have the only form of relationship that we have Monday to Friday is on a mobile phone. So talking is the one thing that we have.
Yeah.
And so we've always found it easy to talk. I mean, sometimes, if we don't want to go out on a Saturday night, Jacob's in bed, we'll put music on in the background and we'll literally sit. Even now, we've been together for 10 years. We'll sit and we'll chat shit about anything. Yeah. And it's random and it goes off, it's the most natural conversation. But we'll put the world to right. We'll talk about his past, my past, good memories when we were growing up. But as well, when there's things that are bothering us, we can open up to each other. And it's that safe space for me to be able to say to him, I'm not doing well today. And he listens, and he doesn't try to give answers. He doesn't try to fix it.
Yeah.
He just listens. And I think we both encourage each other to be, not necessarily better people, but to grow where we can. And he is absolutely, he's amazing. He really is. Because he understands that I suffer with a bit of anxiety in the fact that I'm a planner and I don't do last minute things. Whereas Rob is let's go and do this. And we've kind of had that conversation where I've said, I can't cope with that.
Spontaneity freaks you out.
Yeah, but he's so understanding in the fact that he goes, right, okay, let's see if we can find a balance. And it's just, I mean, I know how lucky I am to have found him, and I'm keeping him forever.
Yeah, watch out, people.
Yeah. He's mine, but he's bloody gorgeous as well. He is 10 years younger than me.
He's a good-looking guy. And the pair of you look amazing together. When I see photos of you together, I'm like, that is a hot couple.
Oh, we're hot together, aren't we?
You really are. It's like sizzly.
Yeah. He makes me look better.
I think you both make each other look amazing, because you just are, and you're so obviously meant to be together. And it's interesting, this for me, because it's I was having a conversation, actually a text conversation with someone just before we came live, and Juanita it was who did our masterclass this week, and she was saying, you never mention a partner if you've got a special person in your life, and I said, well, no, I haven't at the moment, really, and it's not kind of what I wanted in my life, but I am fiercely independent and I won't put up with any old crap, and it would take a pretty strong fella to be able to deal with everything I am. But actually, when I think about the kind of relationship I'm looking for, it is very much what you described with you and Rob. So, and I know you treasure that. Yeah. Lisa's saying fit. I'm assuming in relation to you and Rob.
I'm just presuming it's me.
Well, let's do that. Rob, if you're watching, don't feel insecure. Paul's saying a Vita profiling match right there. A brilliant balance which needs compromise. Yeah, compromise. Big deal. So, as we said before, Rob's really supportive of the fact you have come into Rebel World and become a master rebel. And it was really quite clear. Lisa's saying definitely you.
Facebook user, that's Rob.
Is that Rob? I wonder whether that might be.
I think that's Rob.
So yeah, he was really supportive of you being, on this journey and becoming a master rebel. It was really obvious to me that I really wanted you on the team. So what was it that kind of piqued your interest? What was it that what does it mean for you to be a master rebel in our community?
Specifically from a master rebel point of view, I think for me it's that because I've kind of been on that journey and I've got to the point where, even though it is still a work in progress, and I think it always is, everybody's always on that journey.
Yeah.
Because I've got to the point where I understand that I'm not willing to bend for society and that, I'm happy being, far out from the crowd, and I want to support other people who may be just starting that journey, who maybe just need that guidance or that support. I also want to continue to kind of push myself. And I think the Master Rebels has definitely helped me kind of step out of my comfort zone. It's an opportunity to share some of my passions, just being part of the group to see what, other people are doing and what other journeys people are going on. And if I can help or contribute in any way, that's absolutely key for me. But it is more just about continuing that journey. And I think the Master Rebels was kind of that next step for me.
Yeah.
I'd already accepted my rebellion, whereas the Master Rebellion was pushing it even further and then sort of guiding other people as well.
Yeah, good answer. By the way, guys, viewers, before I forget, if any of you getting a delay, a lag or anything, will you just pop something in the comments to let me know? Because I know last time we did this, because we're on multiple platforms, there was some people experiencing some technical difficulties. So being Master Rebel was the sort of next stage for you. It just seemed to sort of click somehow, didn't it? That the universe lines things up, doesn't it? And for me, you've always been a really, really good example of our tagline, which is being your full unapologetic self. And one of the things I particularly love about you is your willingness to be vulnerable in the right contexts and being very honest about who you are and what kind of makes you wobble and what doesn't, and what you won't compromise on. And I love the fact that you are now so uncompromising about being who you are and not sort of squishing yourself into a mold anymore. By the way, someone, I don't know if it's Rob, is saying not seeing all comments, not sure if you're seeing mine. So I have to, you have to bear in mind I'm multitasking, guys. So I sometimes have to manually pop up the things. There you go. There's yours, whoever you are. So yeah, I have to press buttons whilst I'm still listening to what Trace says. So I'm not ideal at multitasking these days because of my age, but I am seeing you, don't worry. Oh, hi Cheryl. So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so you're uncompromising about being your full unapologetic self. I know you haven't always been that way, but why is it so important for you now to be uncompromising about who you are?
Wow, I've never really thought about it.
Question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think because if I bend for other people, it's almost like I'm fooling myself about who I am. Whereas if I'm just authentically me, there is no bending. It was almost like I had to think about who I was in certain situations, which is exhausting because not only was I being fake, not intentionally fake, but not only was I being fake, but it was kind of like, it was almost like carrying those different personas round and going, right, today I'll put this Tracey on. And it just got exhausting. And being a mum, a wife, a full-time working woman, getting old, I just got to the point where I was like, why? Why? My parents love me for who I am. They've never asked me to be anybody but me. And my husband loves me for who I am. Jacob has never known me as anybody but who I am. So why am I going to do it for other people? They're the main people that at the end of the day, when everything's said and done, they're the people that will always be there. People coming in and out of your life all the time. My parents, my husband, and my son will always be that constant.
Yeah.
So if I can be myself with them, why can I not be myself with everybody else? And at work, it was if I wanted to be taken seriously, and I think a lot of it, I told myself this as a woman in a technical role, I felt that I needed to put on this front. Whereas actually, the older I've got, the more I've realised that it's nothing to do with being a woman. It's nothing to do with being accepted. It's to do with the fact that I'm bloody good at my job. So there it is. And now my personality will come out. I almost stifled my personality because it was like I didn't want to be judged. Whereas now I know I'm good at my job. I don't need to stifle my personality. So I don't know if there was really a point where I kind of went, oh, I know, I'm going to stop doing that. I think it was almost that journey where I was so exhausted as being a mum that I knew I had to make a change. And then meeting Naomi and seeing that she was authentically herself. And then it kind of happened naturally. And now it's just fully part of me that this is Tracey. Take me or leave me.
So in a way, you've sort of modelled excellence a little bit from Naomi and maybe some other people, and now you're role modelling that yourself. You know,
Yeah.
in this community where you, and in lots of other places where you can be, you know, uncompromising about who you are. So do you think, you know, you're talking about being a woman in a technical role? Do you think that your self perceptions of, or your perceptions of what you thought it meant, or other people thought, right, let me word this right, your perceptions of what other people think a woman in a technical role should be like are potentially more unhelpful than the reality of other people's perceptions of what it's like to be a woman in a technical role, for example. Does that make sense? Let me word it again. So is it which is more real or unhelpful, do you think? Other people's perceptions of being a woman in a technical role, or what you thought their perceptions would be?
I think that it was my perceptions of what they were expecting. I was only 19 when I started at O2. And I think I fell into a lot of the roles that I had. And being at school, being told that I wasn't clever, I would never amount to anything. I was never really confident in my own ability. I mean, we even talked about it the other night, that it's still a struggle that I have now.
Yeah.
So I think as I moved, because obviously we met as part of the companion training program, and then when that kind of ended, my role sort of moved into technology, like sort of unintentionally, and I became part of the technical area. And it was almost like I was scared, because I was like, I don't know technology. I'll fake it till I make it. So then this front was there of this technical person who would hear what other people said, and then I'd just waffle it off like I knew what I was talking about. But then it kind of got to the point where I worked for somebody that made me feel that as a woman and as a mum, I couldn't do what I wanted to do, because I wasn't prepared to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and work till 10 o'clock at night. I couldn't just go to London at the drop of a hat. And it was almost like she was telling me that you're stuck where you are. So that then didn't help. So I think a lot of it was my own perception as to what people expected. But then I think along the way, I did allow minorities' opinions to have a bearing on me. And the fact that it came from a woman, I look back now and I think I would never say to another woman in a job, you can't do it because you're a mum.
Because you're not prepared to sacrifice parenthood.
It's rubbish. And then I met Naomi, who said, yes, you can. You can do it all. You can. It's all about just managing your time. You can dedicate.
Naomi.
Oh, I love her.
Naomi.
She's
we
amazing.
need to interview her by the sounds of it, don't we, as well?
She's
I don't know why I struggled with her name then. That was a bit weird. And my brain is so mashed today, I can't tell you. Hi, Nadia. Nadia's popped in. So, well, that makes a lot of sense to me. And you know, there's still a lot of that around it, and that sort of, well, you know, if you want to get on in life, then you've got to sacrifice what it means to be a parent, or, you know, anything ridiculous like that. Lisa's saying my daughter works in construction and she's 20, and that's because I told her she can be whatever she wants to be. Absolutely.
Yeah. See, women women.
Yeah. Lisa's another great example of a rebellious mama, and we'll be talking to her about that as well very soon. Speaking of being a mum, your lovely son that we've talked about a couple of times already, Jacob. Tell us about him. Tell us a little bit about who he is in his young life so far, and how you're parenting him to be his full self.
So Jacob will be 9 a week on Saturday.
It's a big month, isn't it, for you guys as a family? Flipping
yeah, tell me about it. Our wedding anniversary, birthday, and Father's Day. Yes.
Wow.
So
and Jubilee.
and the Jubilee, yeah. So yeah, Jacob's 9. He's at primary school. His ambition in life is either to discover Pokemon in the way that we discovered dinosaurs in the films. That he's going to find the DNA and create them. And my view on life is, do it.
Heck, why not? Oh, the cutest thing. He's so adorable. He really is.
He is currently growing his hair because he wants to look like his dad, which his grandma hates. But obviously, I was raised by a soldier, so it's short back and sides. But my view is, he's 9, he's discovering his personality. I think it's a wonderful dedication to how much he loves his dad, that he wants to grow his hair. So I'm all for it. You know, do it, son. Yeah. Worry about whether you want long hair or not when you're older. If you want to grow it now, grow it now. You can always cut it off. So we're currently going through the difficult stage of the hair growing. Yeah. He's loud. He's got the best laugh in the world. He's got an awesome personality. I think Rob and I have always had our sense of humour quite open in front of him, and he fully absorbs it. He's fantastic. But one of the things that I'm really keen on raising him, and I think it is as parents, especially today, is that I'm very keen on educating him on pronouns and you know, identification, people's, you know, the fact that you accept somebody for who they are, it shouldn't matter, you know, where they come from, what they look like, who they identify as, you know, who they love.
I love what they wear.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Wear what you want, son. Although he takes that to the literal sometimes, and I'm like, can't go out dressed like that. But he does.
Give me some examples. I'd love to know about it.
Some examples. He comes downstairs in, you know, it'll be snowing outside, and he's wearing flip-flops, shorts, and a big woolly jumper. Or can I wear my swimming shorts today? Are you going swimming? No, I'm just sitting about. He loves pajama day, and his pajamas consist of boxer shorts. So we have a Jacob that sits around in boxer shorts all day.
Oh, bless him.
But he's, yeah, I'm kind of educating him to just love. He's also experiencing a little bit of bullying at school. I don't think it's anything major. But one of the things that I'm really keen on making him understand is that other people tend to bully other people when they themselves aren't happy with who they are. And that he needs to understand that it isn't about him, it's about them, and that he just needs to be kind. And eventually, you know, they'll get bored, and hopefully they'll be able to move on from that, and not to retaliate, because hate breeds hate. You know, kill it. The old saying, in it, kill him with kindness. And whenever I say to him, what do we say about those that bullies, he always says that they're not happy with themselves, and sometimes it is that, you know, Jacob's got the personality that maybe they wish that they had the confidence to have. And I've always said, don't change, be who you are.
He's such a sweet person, you know. I love it when on the odd occasion where he comes in on camera and he hangs out with you when we're doing a masterclass or whatever it is, or a team thing, and he's just got the lovely, even over Zoom you can just tell he's got the loveliest energy, and he seems to have such a kind heart, and he's just full of love, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Full of love.
So Rob's really keen on. So Rob's an out and out gentleman. His stepdad raised him to be an out and out gentleman. And a few months ago, we were in the pub, and Jacob was knocking about playing, and all I saw was Rob just go, "Get in there!" And I went, "What's up?" And he went, Jacob was just bumming through the door and realised that there was somebody else coming in behind, and held the door open for them. And it's just, that's kind of just an example. He is kind, he's sweet. You know, Mum was telling me that a little boy fell over at swimming and really bashed his head on the floor. And Jacob was, you know, visibly shaken and was like, "Are you okay? Do you need any help?" And he is, that's the kind of boy. He's such an empathetic person.
Also, sounds very much empath style.
Yeah, and if ever I will get upset in front of him. I believe that they need to see emotions in that way to understand. And I'm very honest with him and say, "Mum's not having a good day today, but don't worry, you know, it never lasts, and I'll be fine." And he'll always give me a cuddle. And yeah, he's just, I couldn't ask for a better son. I'm very lucky.
You know, it's so important that actually being able to show your vulnerability to your children, because particularly I think with male kids, that, you know, you are male kids, boys. I don't know if I was like, it was like a PC part of my brain coming in and on overdrive there or what, I don't know. But I think it is really important, particularly for lads, because, you know, we are, and, you know, any gender really, we're so, I think we're still stuck in that gender norms thing of boys don't cry. Oh, you know, don't cry, you're a brave boy, you know, when they fall over. And they need to understand, as Nadia is saying, the spectrum of emotion. And whilst you wouldn't tell them all your ills and go into detail of trauma with them or anything like that, it's, and, you know, you sort of considerate of your impact. I think it is, they have to see that people go through challenges, but also that they come out of those challenges as well.
Yeah, you know? Absolutely. And he's, again, it goes back to Rob in the fact that Rob's such a good influence. Obviously, Rob's going on his own journey. You know, we've briefly touched on how he's, you know, he's still sort of dealing with the passing of his dad, and that he's kind of learning how to deal with grief in a more healthier way. And we've kind of worked together on that. But the fact that he's able to be vulnerable in that sense with Jacob, so Jacob sees that Rob gets upset and kind of understands that mum gets upset, but so does dad, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that it isn't just about men be strong and women be weak. And I always say to him, just because I'm a woman doesn't mean that I can't do stuff. And it's like, my mum raised me like that, though, because my dad was in the army. So it was like, if a shelf fell down, my mum had to do it.
Yeah.
If it needed wallpapering, my mum had to do
Who
it.
did the shoddy shelf work in the first place, though, is my question.
Well, yeah, probably my dad. But my dad can fix anything. I have to be careful. My dad does a lot. So my dad can fix anything. But it is that Rob's not a masculine, men are men. I mean, don't get me wrong, he is a man's man, but he accepts that there are vulnerabilities and that he isn't afraid to share them. And I really admire him for that, because I think it's such a positive role model, especially for boys. I think as women, we're lucky enough that it's sort of built in that you have emotions and it is okay to go through them. I think that we naturally, as women, we do go through that. It's that maternal thing. Whereas I think for men, as generations move on, I think men are more and more sort of learning about
discovering their feminine side. Yeah, like they're getting balance.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, it's changing as the generations go on, definitely. And it's for me, it's only a positive thing.
I totally agree. Let's have a look. It's important for men to show their emotions for themselves, but for others to see it as well. Yeah, because we're all role modeling to other people, aren't we, in everything that we do, really. So another thing that you love, as well as your gentleman in your life, is books.
Oh, I do.
You are a massive bookworm. You love a read, and you are always on Book Talk.
I am.
It's now a thing. Tell us how did you get, how did this become a thing? What part does reading play in your life, Tracy?
So I've always read. My mum was a big reader when I was growing up, and I was a slow reader when I was younger. But I've always read. But then probably in my early 20s, I went to visit some friends in America, and Craig, who I always referred to as my American big brother, I wanted a book to come home with, and he bought me James Patterson Along Came a Spider, which started my James Patterson obsession. And for years, that was all I read. And I've got probably hundreds of James Patterson books. And then before Christmas, I'd sort of stumbled upon TikTok over lockdown, but I came across an account where she'd created a book journal, and she'd set herself a target of 50 books in a year. No, sorry, 50 books in 6 months. And I thought, I can do 50 books in a year. I want to set myself a goal. I wanted something to aim for that would take me a long time to do it. So I started in January. I've done 3 audiobooks, but so far, including those 3, I'm on 30 books.
Wow.
So I'm going to smash my target, but I'm just going to carry on. But it was just because I love reading, and Jacob's at that age where he's into computers, but I like to have him where I can see what he's doing. So he basically gets the run of the living room TV, which means that I've got sod all to watch, and battery life on phones isn't, forever. So I started picking up books. But the change that I've seen in my mental health has been unbelievable. My anxiety is nowhere near as bad as it was. It seems to be getting better. It will always be there, but it's kind of, even though some of the subject matter that I'm reading can be quite upsetting and heavy going, it's just such a calming influence. It's that taking the electronics away and taking that noise away and just escaping to another world, even if it's just for a couple of hours. And I love it, absolutely love it. And I'll read anything now. This one that I'm reading at the moment, is Twisted Stories. It's a bit, it's. I always say on my book talks, check trigger warnings before you read anything. And this one's twist. I mean, the one before it was just so bizarre. But I'm loving them, and it's just been.
What's Twisted Stories? Is it like short stories?
Yeah, so this one is short stories. It's an Argentinian translation. So it's dark, twisted, poetic, contemporary gothic, bewitching. There's, missing children come back from the dead, unearthed bones carry terrible curses. This is the kind of thing that I'm reading. But on the side of that, I am also reading a cheery mystery fantasy novel as well, just to lighten the mood a little bit. So yeah, any book recommendations? You go.
Well, you are definitely the person, and Nadia and Nadia and Lisa both saying how much, and I'm the same. I love your book reviews that you do for us in the Facebook group, and I love your book talk things as well. So, what's your handle on TikTok, by the way, for anyone who wants to follow your book talk account?
At @T_O'Raw.
At @T_O'Raw is where
so.
Tracey hangs out on TikTok, and you've got. I think I like the fact that on your recommendations you read such a variety of books, and you're really honest about them as well. You know, whether they're kind of doing it for you or not, and but also I like the fact that you'll put a book down if it's not quite working for you right now, or if it's not quite right for your vibe right now, or I think actually, I've started doing that more with things, particularly on, Netflix or whatever. If it's not grabbing me within a certain amount of time, or it doesn't feel great to me right now, I will stop watching it. Whereas in the past, I might have just forced myself to do it because I wanted to be a finisher. It's pointless.
But I think that it's almost like that. Well, you started it, you need to finish it. Whereas actually, our time is so precious. Why am I going to sit and waste my time when I'm not enjoying it? And it's the same with TV and books. There's very few that I will DNF, which is do not finish. But I have got a couple, and I will read a certain amount because some books can be slow to get into. Some are straight off the bat. You're like, wow, no way. I mean, one of them started where it basically said she's sitting having dinner with her fiance and her husband rings, and you're like, what? And it's like
what a great opener that is, though.
Yeah. But one of them that I put down was called Hamnet, and it's a book that's about Shakespeare's son. Shakespeare is in it, but he's never directly named. I couldn't get into the reading style; it just wasn't vibing with me. It was a slog. I've listened to it on audio as an audio book, and although I did enjoy the story, I didn't think it was as brilliant as everyone else raved it to be. I didn't feel that it was necessarily about his son. It was more about his wife. Anyway, so I've started to kind of do that a little bit. If the reading's not working for me, I might listen to it on Audible. But one of the other ones, I wasn't feeling the book, so I started reading reviews, and actually the reviews were kind of along my train of thought.
Okay.
So I just put it down and was like, yeah, it isn't me. It's just the book's not right.
Yeah.
But
it's not me, it's the book.
It's the book. But it's personal taste as well, and that's something that I'm very clear on. Just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it won't work for somebody else. It's like a TV program, loads of my friends like Love Island, and I'm like, reality TV, no thanks. I want to get lost in, a good old crime drama. Ooh, who did it? And I love documentaries because I love learning about the world, and I'm a massive YouTube fan as well, and I'll watch all sorts on YouTube. So
I love it. I also like on your book talks where you get your book mail and you open your box and there's all sorts of bits and bobs in it. It's like living vicariously. Do you know what I mean?
I love watching other people's.
Yeah, there's so much noise about books. Like you get they've got the reviews smashed across the front, and actually having it from somebody real is, I think, much more reassuring or much more of a clear guidance. So somebody's saying there's an entrepreneur guy who says, go to the chapters that mean the most to you. So it's not just about finishing, you can start. Ooh, that's a bit maverick, isn't it? Just open the book, see what happens.
Read the last page. I know people that
Oof.
do that. Read the last page, and I'm like,
I'm not sure
no, because you know how it ends.
Oof, no. It could give you completely weird, like, it could completely taint your view of the book, I think that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those that I'll buy books because I might have seen somebody recommend it, but actually I don't have any idea what the book's about. So one of the books that I'm reading, I had absolutely no idea what the book was about. I just started reading it and thought it was fantastic. Other books, I know fully what the story is going to be about, and I'm like, oh yeah, that absolutely is right up my street. So I'm a bit of a, sometimes it's random. I also have a TBR jar, which is basically all of my books written down in a jar. And Rob is phenomenal at picking some really good books out as well.
Really?
But I don't know what I'm going to be reading from one day to the next.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It sounds like you read quite fast, actually, as well, because I've had to try and get my head around the idea of speed reading, because I read so slow. I'll read the same sentences over and over and over again, realise my mind's wandered maybe, or I want to really absorb the meaning of it, and I just stifle myself by doing that. So I've kind of tried to let go of that a little bit.
I'm not a speed reader, so I read an average of 220 words a minute, which is average. I absorb myself in the story, so it gets to the point where I'm almost not reading the words. It's a movie that's playing in my mind.
Like you absorb it through your periphery and that sort of thing. Yeah.
You know where they bring a film out about a book? I have to read the book first, right, because I create the characters in my head. Whereas if you watch the film, normally the film's nowhere near as good as the book. But also when you come to read the book, the character's already created, and I don't like that because sometimes the character's not the same. Harry Potter was different because they're really similar.
Well, they were after the first one. She wrote them, didn't she, for cinema, really?
Yeah. So but some books it doesn't work, and it takes the magic away.
Yeah,
it really does.
They often have to twist things differently, don't they, for TV or for film, because it doesn't.
Yes, they might change the ending because it won't vibe with the audience. So I'd just sooner read the book.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, actually. So we're on how many books? 30 out of 100.
30 out of 50.
30 out of 50.
Might be 100 next year, but for this year, 30 out of 50.
Yeah, where we got 100 from. 30 out of 50 is proper smashing it, so that you can be very proud of already. What else are you proud of in your life, most proud of?
Being a mum.
Yeah, that's got to be the absolute winner on it, really.
I mean, the fact that you give birth to this human being that is then thrust upon you with zero training. Here you go. This child is now yours.
It's the scariest, riskiest job ever. No training whatsoever.
When they put him in my arms, I just went, oh my God, what have I done? And there's no going back. That's it. There's no no, I've changed my mind. Can I
resign?
Period. But it's a blank slate as well. And something that always sat with me is there is absolutely no imprint on this child when it's born from society and from influence and stuff like that. You are the sole influence, and it's such a heavy burden to carry. Yeah. But I'm so proud that Rob and I think that we're fantastic parents. Jacob's turning out to be a phenomenal little boy, but it's hard work. And I'm mega proud of being a mum. I'm mega proud of being a wife. I'm mega proud of being me.
So you should be. That is a great list of proudness. That's not a word, but hey, let's make it one now. So rebellion then. What's rebellion about for you? What have you rebelled against? What are you in the process of rebelling against even? What's the definition for you?
In the past, it was one of the steps that I made when I joined the group was that I had a group of friends that wasn't
You
really.
say that like friends.
Because I look back and I think, were they really friends, or were they just acquaintances that I felt I had to stay with?
Yeah.
And I mean, no ill will towards them. They've never done anything wrong to me, but I think I never really felt like I fitted in. I kind of stumbled as part of the group. They kind of took me in. They'd got a long history before I was part of the group. And over lockdown, it kind of came apparent that I took more from the friendship than what they did. And it felt one-sided. I didn't really feel like I was included. And I took the decision to just step away. I didn't fall out, didn't, make a big dramatic scene about it. I just kind of let myself fade into the background. And it was quite liberating because it was, I wasn't wasting my energy. I wasn't, they weren't wasting their energy. And it was just, I'd rather have a couple of really good friends than a massive group of, acquaintances that don't really like me. So that was one of the big rebellion things that I did. What am I doing today? Work is just one of those that I am completely authentically myself. I go into a room and I'm kind of like, hey, how are you doing? Whereas once upon a time I would have been like, good afternoon, thank you for attending my meeting. Like get professional, stale. And it's just really good to just kind of just be me.
Yeah.
And acknowledge the fact that it's something that I'm not quite believing just yet. But people keep telling me I'm more intelligent than I give myself credit for.
Very, very clever.
And I'm kind of trying to rebel against the fact that I keep questioning that. And I know that I've mentioned to you that it's that imposter syndrome. I really struggle with the imposter syndrome. Like, do I really deserve to be here? And it's a never-ending battle, and I have to remind myself that yes, I do. And I think that's going to be an ongoing thing, that I need to rebel against my inner thoughts and just, really accept the fact that I deserve this position and that I've worked hard for it.
It's unbelievable how powerful those comments that we get in our childhoods are on, hey.
Sorry, Lisa's just mentioned.
That's not just Tracy being a weirdo. That is on a prompt. What's on the nails this time, by the way?
It's Harlequin. So that's oh my god, wait, inverted. No, that way. Wait, which way? Yeah, so that is her hammer, and these say Daddy's monster.
Mate, massive shout out to your nail tech. What's the name again? What's the business called?
Cleo.
She's so good.
She's phenomenal.
She's amazing. Just fully hand painted as well. Yeah, she's a proper artist, isn't she?
She is.
But yeah, it's amazing how much those little comments when we're children or young people have on our self-perception. And actually, a lot of the time, what I encounter dealing with people is those self-perceptions that have come from somebody making a careless comment are actually completely inaccurate. You are one of the cleverest people I know.
I don't think I am.
You really are, though. You have a cognitive kind of a critical thinking ability that I lack. Like, you put things together in a way that, logically and so on, that just don't. I can't do it like that.
But I don't equate that to intelligence. I look at that as just that my brain's wired slightly different to yours. But that's where it makes life interesting, because the way that I think about things and the way you think about things, we'd be given the same piece of information, but we might come out with a completely different opinion. Yeah. And that's what makes life so interesting. So I don't necessarily see it as intelligence in a way.
What do you see as intelligence then?
Oh, intelligence are these, big brain people that can sit in a lab and go, oh my God, I've just discovered a cure for Parkinson's. I mean, like...
Well, there's only about 5 of those people on the planet, so that makes the rest of us really dumb.
When I go to... Right, so this is... If I don't go to work tomorrow, nothing will change.
It would, mate. It would.
Somebody else will happily step into my shoes. I don't know. I don't know what intelligence is. I think I find it's one of those. I wasn't cut out for university. It wasn't never really appealed to me anyway. But I was never. I can't do written exams. I fall apart. I fail miserably. There's qualifications that I've done through work that I've sat the exam like 3 times and I fail it. But when it comes to the practicality of it, I probably really do understand it. Yeah. So I suppose that's where I equate intelligence, is that I couldn't sit an exam to save your life.
Yeah.
But I could have a conversation with, a plastic bag. So.
Especially if it held some books.
Yeah.
That is so funny. No, I wouldn't. I'm definitely not an academic person. But I know I'm clever. Just not just in different ways to, to other people. And it's like you say, it takes all sorts to make a world, doesn't it? And that's what's important. Otherwise, we'd all be trying to do the same job, and the world wouldn't go around, would it?
Well, how boring would it be? If the world was filled with one type of person, there'd be no conversation, there'd be no progression, there'd be no, you know what I mean? You wouldn't look at somebody and go, wow, I really like her hair. Do you know what? I think I might think about changing my hair. We'd all have the same boring haircut. It would just be...
We all like the same books.
It would be like 1984 in real life. No thanks.
Stepford Wives.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're definitely not in that category. So we've covered a lot of ground there, mate. There's, we've managed to encapsulate your entire 40, how many years? 42 years in an hour and 3 minutes so far, which I think is pretty flipping impressive. So for anyone who's, there's bound to have been threads of this that resonated with people. What would you, what advice would you have for people that are perhaps experiencing any of the things around you, you becoming your full unapologetic self? What would be, the TRACEY wisdom that you could impart as a kind of, not Jeremy, what's his name? What's that American chat show dude?
Jerry Springer.
Words. Yeah, that's it. Jerry's last words, or whatever it is. What would your Jerry's last words be for TRACEY?
So, practical advice. This has been my lifesaver. Anytime I feel really crap about myself, I'm having a negative thought, every time I roll it over in my head. So that stupid voice, you're not good enough, you can't do this. Write it down, get it out. It's amazing how those thoughts can lose their power once they're written down. I've never read a single word of this diary back. Never read it back. Punctuation doesn't matter. Spelling doesn't matter. Whether it's written nicely or not doesn't matter. Get it out your head. Once you get it out your head, the logical side of you will then kind of go, wow, what total crap that is. You don't look nice today. No, write it down. I don't look nice today. And then look in the mirror and go, do you know what? Actually, I really do.
Oh, I love that. I've never thought of doing journaling like that. Actually, saying the mean things out, in work, like in writing.
Yeah, and I don't talk about today I did this. It's always today I felt like this. I've told myself this today, and it's just getting it out exactly how I feel. But it can be anything. I felt like a shit mum today because I told Jacob off over something really random that I probably wouldn't have normally told him off about. But then when I write it down, I think, do you know what? Don't beat yourself up, because all the 360 other days of the year, you do all right. It's just today you've had a bad day. And it's also about not beating yourself up for not being perfect. Nobody's perfect. It's a never-ending, journey to self-love, to self-acceptance. But as well, until you learn to accept yourself, nobody else can really fully accept you, because you don't know who you are. And that's something that I've really learned, is that more people accept me today than I've ever done before. And I think a lot of that is because when I look in the mirror, I go, do you know what, girl? you've done really well for yourself and you're fucking amazing. So yeah, this is a good place to start. Just get it out your head, because it's not true. It's all crap.
Oh, I love that. Well, we not only accept you for who you are, but we very deeply love you for who you are in our rebel gang. And I know there'll be people who'll be watching this on the replay who are really inspired by just you being you and the things that you've talked about. You are a very likable person, and I'm so glad to have you in my world generally, but also on the team, because you massively fly the flag for what we're about, and I just admire you so much for who you are. And so publicly thank you for being in this space with us and with me, because it is incredibly important to me. And we're gonna wrap up there. So if you've got any last minute questions, guys, you better get them in really, really quick. We'll just wait for a moment. So Nadia's talking about journaling. I'm going to try that whole sort of what I told myself today thing in my journal, because I tend to do a little bit more of a what happened today was and then I too never read it back, so that seems pointless.
No, just get it out your head.
Totally agree. Lisa's saying you're massively inspirational and that she loves you, and I absolutely echo that, Tracy.
Love you too, Lisa. You're amazing.
This has just been absolutely brilliant. I've totally loved it. I'm going to choose this music to play us out with. There we go. Hopefully Facebook won't ban it because it's official sanctioned music, but who knows, might end up getting this video pulled down for no silly reason.
Well, we're here for the live.
Well, too right. Well, speaking of which, if you have missed parts of this and you want to see the beginning of it, because we've talked about some amazing stuff, we've really covered a lot of ground, it is in the Rebels and Rule Breakers group. So if you are not already in the Rebels and Rule Breakers group, please come and show us some love. Another potential Prime Minister, Paul, saying Nadia's sending their huge love. We've got some really good comments here. Oh, Raw knows the score. I want to know who's saying that, because that's really funny. I love that. Thank you so much for supporting us, guys, and for listening and watching, whether you are doing that live or whether you are doing that on replay. Please let us know. Please put some comments in on the replay. And if you do want to watch the entirety, not only is it in Rebels and Rule Breakers, but it will also be on my YouTube channel, which is Emma Shaw, Chief Rebel. Keep rebelling, everybody. Chief Rebel and Master Rebel Tracy O'Rourke out.